Hi, welcome to Bobby Cinema Theater. I'm Bobby Cinema, but you can call me BC. Today is August 10th and my 27th week of live at Bobby Cinema. On my webcast and live at Bobby Cinema are just the new movies and DVDs that's out this week, where I make the final grade on the movie out this week. Go onto my website where you can read the plot and watch the movie trailer. The first movie out this week in theaters is Pineapple Express, starring Seth Rogen and James Franco, directed by David Gordon Green and produced by Judd Apatow and just by Columbia Pictures. I took this film. I recommend people watch this movie in theaters. This is like Pulp Fiction and comedy. Seth Rogen and James Franco made an extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to them. I rate this movie a B. The next movie out this week is The Sisterhood of Traveling Pants, starring America Ferrera, Blake Lively, Alexis Bledel, and Amber Tamblyn. Directed by Sanai Hamri, produced by Deborah Martin Chase, and produced by Warner Brothers. I took this film. I recommend people watching this movie in theaters. Alexis Bledel, Amber Tamblyn, Blake Lively, and America Ferrera made an extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to them. I rate this movie a B-. The next movie out this week is Hell Ride, starring Larry Bishop, written, directed, and produced by Larry Bishop, and produced by Dimension Films. I took this film. I recommend people watch this movie in theaters. Larry Bishop made an extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to him. I rate this movie B-. The next movie out this week is The Perfect Game, starring Cheech Marin and Clifton Collins Jr., directed by William Deere, produced by David Salzberg, and produced by Lionsgate Entertainment. I took this film. I recommend people watch this movie in theaters. Cheech Marin and Clifton Collins Jr. made an extraordinary performance of two Lilly coaches and helped them do well in the Lilly World Series. My hat's off to them. I rate this movie a B-. The next movie out this week is Bottle Shock, starring Alan Rickman and Chris Pine, written, directed, and produced by Randall Miller, produced by Zen Hayes Productions. I took this film. I recommend people watching this movie in theaters. Alan Rickman and Chris Pine made an extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to them. I rate this movie a B-. Then the next movie out this week is LG, starring Patricia Clarkson and Sonia Bennett, and directed by Isabel Coix, and produced by Tom Rosenberg, produced by Samuel Golden Films. I took this film. I recommend people watching this movie in theaters. Sonia Bennett and Patricia Clarkson made an extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to them. I rate this movie a A-. That's all the movies that are out this week. The next movie that's out on DVD this week is Dems Island, starring Jodie Foster and Abigail Breslin, written and directed by Mark Levin and Jennifer Flackett, produced by Cary Garnett, and distributed by 20th Century Fox and Universal Pictures. I took this film. I recommend people watch this movie on DVD. Jodie Foster did a great job playing a famous novelist, Alex Rover's character. It was like Indiana Jones in this movie, who's heard from a little girl who is a diehard fan of Alex Rover, who lives in a deserted island, and his father is lost at sea, and asks for help to find him. Jodie Foster and Abigail Breslin made an extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to them. I rate this movie a B+. The next movie out this week is Starship Troopers 3, Marauders, starring Casper Van Dien and Jolene Blacklock, written and directed by Edward Neumeier, produced by Steve Beswick, and produced by Sony Pictures. I took this film. I don't recommend people watch this movie on DVD. They should get better writers and better actors for this film. This is the worst movie I've ever seen since watching The Adventures of Pluto Nash. I rate this movie a D-. That's all the time we have today. Come back next week where I introduce the new movies out this week and on DVD. Don't forget to log into my website where you can look into my trailers, play my movie trivia, and my puzzle. This is BC. See you next week. Now get out.